Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video interview program that features me talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist slash secular slash awesome community. This is episode number 45. We're recording live on January 28th, 2016. I would like to thank Michael for being on last week, and I hope he enjoys his shirt-free life in Miami. That's episode 44 if you want to listen. So tonight we have Robert and Amy Ray, who started Secular Yakking to share the yakking they've been doing in private for years. They're both atheists living in the Pacific Northwest. By the way, Robert will be on camera. Amy will be off camera, but we'll be hearing plenty from both of them. Robert's also involved in they're both involved in the project involving E Pluribus Unum, the original U.S. motto. Latin is just cool, let's admit that. So welcome to the show.
Hey, Zach. Glad to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So let's start with a love story. How the heck did the two of you get together?
Oh, that's a long and sordid tale.
Yes, that is.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was sort of a bum.
No, you were a geek.
No, I was a geeky bum. And I stayed at my friend's house a lot, right? Because we played D&D a lot. There's the geeky bumness there. And his mother and Amy's mother were really good friends. So they came up. We had known each other as teens, but we didn't really click. And then they had come up to visit for Christmas, and we kind of hit it off.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I took her out driving and introduced her to Right Said Fred.
Which I love.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and Information Society.
Yes, which
and
I love.
Blondie. So
yeah, that one I knew.
Good music, right? And then we kind of wrote letters back and forth because she was living in Florida, I was living in North Carolina, and then I kind of moved down to Florida, and we moved back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then I proposed to her on Christmas.
Yeah, it was at a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And that was, 22 years ago.
22 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, so two of you have been together like more than half your lives. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a little, whatever.
Oh, thanks.
Because, Robert is 1 day younger than me. He's January 27th. I'm January 26th. Both the same age.
Right.
And Amy, it's up there if she wants to admit the exact age, but,
I'm
younger.
I'm good with it.
Younger.
Yep. Exactly 11 months younger than Robert. To the day.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool. Well, with the exception of the combined holiday birthday thing.
Yeah. Well, and part of the problem is writing the dates down. They're similar except for one number. So paperwork sometimes gets messed up.
Yeah, people like, are you sure you want to write it that way?
Yeah. It's literally one number different in the entire date.
Yeah, that's true. Something to think about. It all works out, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
So can you talk about, before we get into your show, about kind of your own religious backgrounds?
Sure. So I grew up in a vaguely non-religious household. My grandfather was a Southern Baptist preacher, but my mother was the preacher's kid who rebelled. So we didn't have a lot of religion at home unless I went over to my grandparents' house, and you had to go. In fact, I didn't even know my parents' religious beliefs until about 3-4 years ago.
Ago?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And we were on the phone, and they're like, we don't know. And, they kind of said they were agnostic. And I had never known before, which was interesting. Yeah. Amy's a bit different, though.
Yeah, I wasn't raised in a very religious family, I guess you could say. I went to Catholic school. I did the whole Sunday school thing when I was little. Mostly, I think it was more through my friends and neighbors, and went with them. And then my mom got remarried to a Catholic guy, and that's when I did the whole Catholic school thing for a few years. So it was like ingrained, and no matter what you did, you sucked. But I even from when I was little, I always questioned, and of course got to run around. And my teenage years, I forgot all about that, could care less. And then, in my adult years, when him and I were together, since we had been together since we were 19, especially after we had our kids, it was looking for people who thought the same and, the same process and everything. And we, for the life of us, could not find anyone who thought like we did, or, same, ideas and stuff that we had. And I actually didn't find it until we came to Washington,
Right.
believe it or not.
I mean, we weren't looking incredibly hard.
No, I mean, well, not until the last couple of states we lived in.
Right. We started looking somewhere around Idaho.
Yeah. Well, our biggest mistake is we lived in North Carolina, and we kind of pointed a finger on the map, and the state it landed on was Utah, and that was our first move out west. Kind of the wrong choice. But, anyways, we wound up here, and we found a lot more people who thought in our way, and we have become so much more active than we ever have. And now that's all we do, it seems.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
For me, it does. I'm an outdoorsy. He's a tech kind of guy, so
right.
I kind of have to reel him in.
Sometimes.
As much as I can.
You do a pretty good options out west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of that, so you got to do a mix. You do a podcast from like Mount Rainier or something. Give that a shot.
Yeah, close enough.
That would be awesome.
One day I might. I don't know if I can get my gear up there.
I could totally go for that.
So what made the two of you decide, hey, let's do a podcast?
Well, that's an interesting story as well.
Yes.
So ever since day one, we'd talked, even when we weren't technically together. Drive around and talk. And then when we got older, we'd drive around and talk a lot more about a lot of different things.
For hours.
We'd pull over on the side of the road and talk and talk and talk, right? And then, what was it, about a year ago?
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I said, I would love to do something.
You wanted to do a podcast, and you kept telling me that you wanted me to do one, and I kept telling him no. For a good 6 months or so, I kept saying no. And then one day he just said, that's it, I'm doing a podcast tomorrow. And not with me. It was just going to be on his own. And he started explaining to me what it was going to be. I'm like, oh my God, no, you're not. I said, fine, I'll do a podcast with you.
Just for clarity, it was going to be about all the stuff I was doing with the project.
That's right.
Yeah, and she told me
oh my God, you're so boring.
I know, I am boring.
So I had to jump in because not that I'm going to rescue you or anything, but I know you.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was like, no, you can't do it alone. First of all, you're so boring by yourself. I said, no, we have to do it together. I hate you for making me do it.
See, I didn't make her do it though.
I did it on my own. Yes,
free will.
Yes,
I give you free will.
Okay, sure.
Free will to make the decision you already wanted her to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how it works, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we do our podcast, and we still yak in the car like crazy.
Yeah. Originally we wanted to do it in the car, but I couldn't work out the sound quality, and I wasn't about to start up a podcast with a bunch of road noise.
Right.
So I was like, well, we'll just have to bring it into a studio. So I built kind of a studio here. So
yeah, and we're still contemplating the idea of like doing an extra thing in the car, because we really get into like all kinds of topics, like kind of crazy. I don't know what it is about driving and talking. But that's how it's always been, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it's been.
Yeah, I've heard people try to do the car thing, and it hasn't quite worked out. But I feel like this is the fifth couple I've interviewed, and I did Bobby and Ashley from No Religion Required. I did them separately. But when I interviewed Barroom Atheist, Bill was on the camera and Susie was on a call, and she didn't actually want to be recorded. When I did the Unequally Yoked, Neil was on and Naomi was hiding. Sideline. I said hi to her before, and then that was it. So actually, Corn and Chris were in separate locations, so they were there. So yeah, look at that.
Yeah. See,
that
works
sounds
out
about right.
Yeah.
It's nice to be on it. Well, it's just like you discover how to do things one way, which is how I record these shows. Is I do actually it was just YouTube, and then it became iTunes because I just burned the audio after the fact. So it's just the easy way to do it. But hey, seeing people is nice. It gives you that false sense of intimacy, so I don't actually have to go out and meet people, right? That would be unfortunate.
Right.
Yeah. It's anti-social people. That's why we podcast.
Yeah, that's why I only do podcasts, not video.
Yeah. Be lucky to get her to go to a conference. Not that we could afford it.
I would say I did a conference once.
Yeah, but you weren't famous yet.
And I wasn't teaching one of the classes.
Yeah, you are famous now. You're up to episode 37.
Yep.
Yep.
So how do you feel now about what you're doing as opposed to when you got started?
I'm a lot more comfortable now.
Me too.
I understand my gear a lot better now. I've got better gear now. Yeah, and I'm getting to the point where it's a lot easier for me to write the show. I'm starting to get where I don't have to be as scripted, because I'm very scripted.
I'm getting him to wing it a little bit better, kind of off the cuff.
Yeah, it's a little harder for me.
Yeah, he's much better than he used to be, though.
Yeah.
I just think it sounds, you just have a few notes and you kind of, wing it.
Yeah.
I like that, and he likes script, so it kind of works out.
She completes me.
As you say often.
I know.
I think that's a good call. No, I totally. If I'm doing like my solo show and I don't have a guest, I write down every word I'm going to say. If I'm interviewing somebody, I kind of have a list of questions, and then we just see where it goes. Because occasionally we go off course a little bit.
Mm.
So, how the fuck do you do a show without cursing?
For me, it comes naturally. I spent a lot of years in restaurant management.
Yes.
And in particular, fast food. And you can't curse on the line. People hear you. So I've learned to suppress it.
Now, me, I have a harder time with that.
Yeah.
I think I let one rip the other day,
Yeah,
as a matter of fact.
I had to bleep that, by the way.
But yeah, on the show, I'm actually doing quite well. I'm quite proud of myself, because in reality, put it this way, one of my daughters swears like a sailor because of me. But I'm not doing too shabby for the show, though.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it is a podcast, so we can if we have to, but it just like I said, it's just not in my nature.
No, not for you.
So it's a little out of character for me to do it. I have done it.
I think I just leave it open. It's usually up to who the guest is. Like, there are times where I have not, and then if we go, we get the list, kind of like when No Religion Required decides to not do their PG-13, and everybody starts saying fuck a lot, and it just goes. Like when you're in Atheism 101, they are like, we curse, and you followed suit. So we're
yeah.
Except for when Ashley gets a cussing string like she did a couple weeks ago. Holy crap!
Yeah, I remember that.
It was last week or the week before. She said fuck like in the first 10 seconds.
And then what was it? Corinne said it, or Corinne said it, and then oh man, it just went crazy. Anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, I was listening to them earlier, and they were talking about other shows that quote unquote go off the rails, where people start cursing, usually when Farm Atheist is involved.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that people react to the most. And it's like, every time you hear a show where someone says something, they're like, oh, edit that out, and they don't, because that's when you don't edit. That's good stuff, because you're actually getting like the real stuff, and it's not super tight and super scripted, because that's hard to do anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel natural. But when it's you have your you have that long standing relationship, so you can play off each other pretty well, which is cool.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of editing.
No, we don't.
Basically, I record as live. And the only thing I take out is like coughing, or if the dog goes crazy during the middle of recording or something like that. Other than that, it's all
we
like
do
a live show.
Yeah, in the 30 minutes we do at one time, like as if it was live, which technically makes your job easier.
It does. It makes my job a lot easier.
And you do like a 30-minute show, which is impressive. I feel like there are a lot of shows out there that just go for hours, and usually an hour seems to be a minimum. So it's nice to have, especially when you're like, oh, I need to listen to a few of your shows to get a feel for it before we actually talk. And I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a compromise, I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to going longer, but I would have to write a whole lot more.
No, I
don't really have time to write a lot more.
No.
So, and I really wanted it to be a driving podcast. People listen to it on the drive. And, the average commute's about 30 minutes. So 30 minutes.
Yeah. Not for you, but yeah.
No, not for me. I get to listen to 2 of my shows on the way.
At least.
Not that I listen to my own show. That would be weird.
I never listen to our own show. Not unless it's in the chipmunk form. And that's it.
The fast forward, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I edit it most of the time.
Yep. That's the only way I'll listen to it. I sound like Brittany. He sounds like Simon.
Yep. Which is perfect for our personalities, by the way.
Yeah, that actually fits.
Yeah, it's anytime I'm about to put my show up on iTunes, I like listen to the first few seconds and go, okay, sounds good, let's go.
Yeah, I just have to
hearing
think
yourself
about
talk.
Yeah,
it's a little
weird.
Like I was listening to our show on Atheist 101. It's like that just doesn't sound like me. That's not me. That can't be me. No. But there it is.
Your voice never sounds real to yourself.
Yeah.
No.
So
Well, I've gotten more used to it.
How about the Potter Awards and the Rare Bailey Awards? What was the idea behind that? And do you have like a favorite Potter of your episodes so far?
Oh, probably.
Potter of the Year Award that might come up soon.
There's a Lifetime Potter Award. So let's get into what the Potter Award actually is. So we got to do a little history.
Yeah, how it came about.
Yeah, we were in Clark County opposing In God We Trust, going up in Clark County Council. And one of the guy that proposed it, he has this face, right? And he looks so much like Mr. Potter from the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. So I looked at her and said, he looks like Mr. Potter, because he had this smug look on his face the whole time, because he knew he was winning.
And that's what I said to you, because he was giving the invocation that day, so we weren't together.
No, this
different
time.
It was a different time, but then we saw him twice.
Oh, we saw him, twice.
And anyways, because I remember saying, God, he's really smug looking.
Yeah.
And that's when you said he looks like Mr. Potter. I'm like, oh my God, he really does.
Yeah. And then I said to one of my friends, and he was like, yeah, you're right. And then, that just kind of sat there for a while. And then I had another issue with In God We Trust down in Delnor County. And this guy really pissed me off. He wrote back to me, and he sounded like he was interested. And it turns out he was the guy that proposed it. He was just a snobbish little prick, right? So, and that was right before the first show.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? We need to highlight this guy because, he's being a jerk. And so I was like, how could I do that and make it fun? And I said, what if we make a Mr. Potter Award based on Melky?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's how the Potter Award came about.
And it's working out well, I think.
I like it.
So many to fill.
Yeah. The George Bailey Award came about because I felt like we needed a counterbalance occasionally. We needed to highlight somebody doing something above and beyond, something George Bailey would have done. Because he gave selflessly, right?
Right, something good.
So, and that's how that came about. Try to do that once a month or so.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think those are harder to find.
They're a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
Potters I could do all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have a little bit of balance in the force, as they would call it. And we're about 20 minutes in, so let me do my quick first live read. So did you know there's a network called Secular Outreach, and you're a sense to join if you're a West Coast atheist? And by the way, if there isn't a West Coast atheist schism, then I'm going to start it. So check out Atheism 101, because those dudes do their research, and they interviewed Robert and Amy recently, and hopefully there won't be too much repetition here, but hey, you do what you can in interview time. So what's the office setup like for your show, or did you get a special room?
We converted a bedroom into half office, half candle making area.
It's a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
He gets one side, I get the other. I make candles. He does all this tech stuff.
Yeah. So I've got a little sound batting on the wall. I've got some on the table, and the rest is just electronics everywhere.
I was saying, tons of lights flashing all over the place.
So you got like blackout curtains going on. I mean, a little CGI behind you,
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about getting a green one.
There you go, green screen.
That's actually a table cover that I'll hang up. So,
whatever.
Yeah, I actually got that a couple years ago to do speeches, because I would bring my own podium, but it's not really a podium; it's a TV tray. So I would drape that over the TV tray,
and that would be my podium.
Looks nice.
Yeah, I started putting a blanket over a printer behind me. That's about all the sound stuff I did, because there was one episode where I actually put a towel behind me and I taped it up and it fell down right in the middle of the show. So I'm like, okay, that's not working.
That stinks.
Thumbtacks.
Yeah.
A light piece of material.
For Wrath, people were trying to up my sound game.
Yeah, they actually helped me out quite a bit with mine. They helped me out with the noise gate and things like that. Being part of the Sun Network has helped us out quite a bit.
Yeah.
For Wrath, by the way, Wyoming. So yeah. So who is it like outside? So what was it like getting into the whole secular outreach family and all that good stuff?
So I had already listened to a couple of podcasts already. So I listened to In the Name of God, the podcast, on a regular basis. And then he had mentioned that they were getting Secular Outreach Network. I was like, okay, we have to get on that because that sounds really cool. So I wrote them and they were like, well, you got to have this many episodes. And we weren't quite there yet. So we just kept producing episodes. And then, we had a little discussion. They brought me in and here we are.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a great thing. I like working with those guys, the For Wrath guys. Oh, Shay is so funny. He is hilarious.
Doesn't he help you out with your Patreons?
No, that's Atheism 101. I'm not going to let Shay on my show. Are you kidding? I'd like to keep it as clean as possible.
Never
mind. No, and then like Paul Sadie, he's awesome. He rebranded to the Q, which I really, really like the Q. I've been listening to Atheist Apocalypse for a while. I really like that show. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, you're in the car a lot.
Yeah, I have an hour drive, so all I do is listen to podcasts.
Actually, it's the hour on a good day.
Hour on a good day, yeah.
Yeah. It's like an hour and a half on the way home.
That's one of the things that almost makes me mad. Like every time I set up a new interview, I have a new podcast to listen to, and I'm like, there's just so much good stuff out there. And then you start listening, and you're like, I want to catch up. I want to get 100% caught up, and it depends on the show. But you're not catching up on a cognitive dissonance show that's like on 260 now. Even a show that's on 37, it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
So you can at least get a feel for it.
Right.
So how do you find like the stories that you do on your show, and do you find yourself kind of leaning toward, I mean, obviously we're talking about church stuff, but certain subjects or people that interest you the most?
Yeah. A lot of my stories come from Google search engines.
Yeah.
And quite a bit come off of the Facebook feeds.
And it tends to be, separation church and state.
Well, yeah. Well, because of the other stuff that I'm involved in, it kind of flows that way.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of politics.
Yeah, it's kind of flowed that way lately.
So, and it wasn't intended to be a lot of politics, but it is. I mean, I am very political. So that's kind of how my searches go.
And I like when we, find some science stories.
Yeah, science or, some
topics.
funny religious story.
Yeah.
Especially when science, religion, and government
all mix.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite ones.
I don't know if they mix so well, but
well, no, it's like
it's
oil.
entertaining.
Yeah, it is entertaining.
Now, I've listened to every show, but is there a time where you two like disagree?
Well, okay, we can disagree, but not like something that would take you to like really heated disagreement. More like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's this, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, we don't disagree on a whole lot of stuff. We have very, very similar views.
Yeah.
So it works out. It keeps peace here.
Yeah, I mean, we have like little disagreements on how we see something sometimes, but it's nothing that really goes farther than that.
Right.
And then we just keep talking.
Yeah, we have a discussion about it, and then it just goes on.
Yeah, we just keep talking about our own points of view until they start kind of mashing together and like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could that be boring?
I don't know. It's like not quite an echo chamber.
Yeah.
But it's bordering on echo chamber.
Well, I guess if you yak enough, you end up figuring out a place where you can work it out.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So
how did you decide to become Mr. Original Motto?
Well, I had
Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
I'll go with it's more him.
It's more. I think it's more Mr.
He's really been doing the work on this one.
Well, when I was doing the protest for In God We Trust down in Clark County, I noticed that there were no organizations that were actually looking at that. No one was actually opposing it on a large scale. And I was talking to Sam Mulvey from Ask an Atheist. He'd come down to see my invocation in Olympia, and we were talking about it. And he said, you know, what you're doing is not quite working. Because at the time I was just working petitions. And he said, you need to be more local. So on that drive home, I had this incredible idea that maybe we should be opposing them in the city councils everywhere and finding them, going out and actively seeking them, and then that's how the whole idea was born. Yeah.
Right, which is how you started finding more and more with the sheriff's cars and everything else just kept snowballing.
Yeah, and now we have 50 groups all over the country. We have members from every state, pretty much.
You've grown quickly.
Yeah, we've grown quickly.
Yeah.
Now, is that the original motto? So you can search on Facebook and find. You can actually find a group for your own state.
Yeah. So if you go to the original motto project.us, which is our website, we have in our menu tabs, you can go to look for groups. We have a ton of resources on that site. So.
Is that also where your map is?
Yeah, the map.
Yeah.
Which I just updated today.
All right.
And we have 233 now.
Explain the map.
Oh, yeah. So I made a map of all the sheriff departments and police departments that have In God We Trust on them. This started, back in June?
Sure.
Or we found out about it back in June. And we've been tracking them ever since 233 now.
Which
that snowballed pretty quickly.
That one did. It took off. Like in Missouri, I think about 85% of the sheriff departments there have.
Was it Springfield? Was it the one that started it?
Yeah, was it?
I know Springfield was in there.
Yeah, Springfield was the kind of the catalyst. He actually put that on in 2014, but it didn't really take off until this guy in Bay County made it national, or Stone County made it national news, and then it moved down to Bay County, Florida, and it became bigger national news. Washington Post picked it up, and it started snowballing from there, and it's just moved on out. It's been fun.
So when like the police put In God We Trust in their cars or put crosses on, what do you want to do to counter it? Like what would your goal be there?
So our goal is to have them put E Pluribus Unum on there as well, or instead of, or nothing.
Yeah, or nothing.
Our preference is nothing. There shouldn't be any extra stickers on a police car, and especially not ones that promote religion, as In God We Trust does. So our idea was to offer them stickers, which is what we do.
Do you have a lot of kind of back and forth, or do you find yourself getting blocked a lot? Or
I've been blocked a few times.
Which is illegal.
Which is illegal, yes. It is unconstitutional, not illegal.
Whatever.
There's a difference.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm currently blocked from 4 sheriff departments, 2 or 3 city councils, and I'm working on action for that.
Yeah, but you're proud of that block.
I am proud of that blocking. It means I did my job.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, there has been sheriff departments. We've had a lot of back and forth. In fact, we had the sheriff from Hemp Hill County, Texas, stalking our page for about 2 months. So he'd come in and make random comments, and we'd get into a little back and forth, and he'd stop for a while, and then it went on for a while. He stopped doing it, but that's okay. I'm stalking his page.
Do you find it that there ends up being kind of this happens a lot in like Christian atheist kind of conversations? There's just a lot of yelling back and forth where you're not really communicating at all?
Yeah, there does seem to be a block occasionally, or actually a lot of times. When I go in as the original model project, I'm using, facts and reason at least as much as I can, and I try not to get angry with them, right? But if I do get angry, then I drop the original model project persona and come in as myself, because those are 2 separate entities. And then I can be a little more forceful if I come in as my personal profile, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So let you have two personalities?
Yeah, a split personality there.
The one where you behave and the one where you don't?
Yes, pretty much. So yeah, it's interesting. We get a lot of, we're founded as a Christian nation, and a lot of times it's just going back and forth on that. On their facts are wrong. You're using David Barton. You can't do that. Type stuff. So
I think the bulk of the conversation seemed to be it's founded on a Christian nation and the Constitution was Christian and all that.
right.
That's what I seem to hear.
It's
a
on
lot.
the dollar. Yeah. Yeah. We disagree with that as well.
Oh yeah, we could go. You have that history of the money down in the U.S. Like, can you talk about the history of kind of the U.S. motto? We had E Pluribus Unum,
right?
And then it kind of shifted. That happened.
Yeah. So originally the Great Seal was designed in such a way that E Pluribus Unum ended up on the front of it with the eagle and the shield.
That the one that you're wearing?
Yeah, the one that I'm wearing. See, this is actually the current seal. Yeah, sorry about that.
We'll link to it.
Yeah,
to his beautiful chest. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, so they designed. They attempted 3 times with Congress doing it and failed because Congress fails at pretty much everything. So they had their secretary do it, and he brought out a wonderful one, which is kind of like the one we see today. And they approved it, and it had E Pluribus Unum on it, had the eagle. It was amazing. The idea was that it was bringing the 13 colonies together in opposition to British imperialism, right? In which it's been in use ever since since 1795 on money was the first coin. 1935 it went on all money, which was good. But then, what was it? Civil War. A reverend wrote to the Secretary of Treasury and said, "We need to honor God on the money." And then they put it on the 2-cent coin in 1864. Most people don't realize it's been on there that long. So,
yeah, it seems like the common thing is, it's been on the money, the paper money, since like the 50s?
56.
Okay.
Well, officially 57. It was approved in 56. Finally printed in 57. But yeah, most people don't realize it's been on coins since 1864.
And do you have like a collection of pre-57 money?
I have a couple bills, but I use those for promotional things. I don't actually collect. Well, I do collect money.
I was going to say, I want one frame.
I do actually try to collect as much money as possible. But no, I'm not into antique coins and things like that. I'm mainly concerned with the separation church-state issue. So we use those as prizes.
Well, yeah, talk about that, because you have the essay contest, and I think you have logo contest going as well.
Yeah, we had the essay contest, which was how does E Pluribus Unum affect me, or In God We Trust, whichever one you chose to write. And the winner of that got a 1935 dollar bill. It's a very good article. That's on our website too. She was an excellent writer. And then we currently have a logo contest going on because our current logo is the original seal as designed by Charles S. Thompson. And we want to get away from that because it's not printer friendly. And so the winner of the logo contest will get a $5 bill, which I happen to have right here. So I have a $5 bill with
"Whoa,
"Knowing God We Trust" on it. So that's what they'll get. And details for that are pretty sure they're on the website. I'll have to ask our content manager, make sure it got up there.
I mean, you're serious? You have like a content manager?"
He just got promoted. That's right. He's my assistant director now. No, we have I have a staff of 4 that volunteer with us. We're all volunteers, so there's no money being made, sadly.
Nope, there's a bigger cause.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a PR person and an outreach coordinator. So, and then myself. And we do quite a bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about how you try to raise money? Because don't you have a certain stamp?
Yes, the stamp. In fact, I have one of those with me too. So the idea was, I'll bring that out too, that we wanted to have a way to protest In God We Trust on money. And I had seen other stamps before, so we decided to create our own, which is designed to go directly over In God We Trust, and it says E Pluribus Unum. What does it say? I don't know. Anyway, it's
Do you have any stamped bills on you?
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say
No.
my purse is out in the car. I've got all my bills are stamped.
No, it says promotion of a deity is a violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. And E Pluribus Unum goes right over the In God We Trust on a dollar bill. It was designed to fit specifically for a dollar bill. Fits on all the others, but the dollar bill is better. So here's the stamp, right? Fits in your pocket. And then you just stamp your money. Yeah. Very nice. And we have a spot on our website to buy those too, which is fun. And then, of course, we have the T-shirts that I'm wearing. You can go to Teespring. I'm pretty sure I have a link on the website for that as well.
Well, we'll get that added to the show notes.
Anything else?
Ultimately, your goal is to get a billboard. Is that what you're looking to do next?
Yeah. So we have a billboard fundraiser going on too. We would like to put a billboard in Springfield is our current location. That's our hot button spot. We've got a couple of reasons in the background for that, and those will probably come out later. But that's some local politics going on there. We want it to be something edgy, but not offensive. You know, hopefully.
So you still got to come up with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have an idea.
Yeah, a couple ideas, I think.
Which I think the latest idea was to use the EPU selfie campaign. We're going to use some of those pictures and make a billboard out of that. Which I should probably explain that too.
I was just going to say, you might want to
EPU
elaborate.
Selfie, come on.
So last week, it was last week, right?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Ben Carson came out in opposition to the Michael Newdow case. And if you're not familiar with that, he is sued to have In God We Trust removed from money. So that's a whole different show. Wow. You could go forever on that one.
Michael Newdow, he's coming out of Ohio, is that right?
Michael Newdow is from California, but he's got clients in Ohio. So that's where the case is going.
Because you're like becoming a legal expert over all this, that you need to have like a actual client locally when you're making these lawsuits.
Right. So Michael Newdow is taking care of that. Nice. Hit the microphones. Good.
Sorry.
Happens all the time.
I like that. Nice echo.
So Ben Carson came out and he made an In God We Trust selfie. He wasn't actually holding the camera, so it's not really a selfie, but whatever. And he encouraged all good Christians to make their own. We saw that and we said, you know what, there's a perfect opportunity to have another campaign. So we came up with the idea of E Pluribus Unum selfies. So the staff and I took our own selfies with E Pluribus Unum as our founders intended, with a piece of paper right in front of us, and changed the profile picture. So we did. Started a campaign and got pretty decent response.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad. I would have liked more, but still going on.
It's a start.
It is a start. And we have a hashtag for that, which is hashtag EPU selfie.
I'll have to do one of those.
Yeah.
The signs with the words written down seem
in fact, on our website, there is a printable sign, which was designed by Michael X of Secular Nation podcast.
Michael X.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice to have a little help from your friends.
Yes, it does. Yeah. It's nice to have friends.
Well, look at us. We're at the 40-minute point, so let's do live read number 2. I almost never give love to a Canadian, but Dave Edwards and the Maleys. By the way, thanks for the birthday bud reference, Corin, and one or two others do the Friday night atheist podcast. And you have to say it correctly like a Canadian, atheist. and I might be a guest on that show in the near future. So watch out. They do it at 10 o'clock on a Friday. I'm sleepy. I'm old. It's a tough thing. So you have 3 kids, right?
Yes, I do. I have 2 16-year-olds and an 18-year-old.
Yay, you got it right.
I got it right this time.
All teenagers. I'm sure that's no stress at all.
All girls.
All girls. Yes.
So you mentioned on the Atheism 101 podcast that you homeschooled them. So what was that experience like, homeschooling them the secular way?
Let's let Amy take most of this. She did most of the work on that.
It was very challenging because the curriculum that you find always has religion into it. Even when you think it didn't, voila, there it is again. So we kind of didn't follow any particular curriculum as far as like, you know, there's like programs and stuff you can follow because they're all mostly religious. So we basically follow curriculum that, you know, went with public schools as far as subjects, but it was just all, you know, secular aspects to public schools, you know, versus, put it this way, trying to find a book for homeschooling that wasn't religious was really difficult.
Even math.
Yes, math. You can get Christian math, believe it or not.
Yeah. I think we had a Christian geometry book or Christian algebra.
I think we still have it,
I think
actually.
so. Been meaning to get that to somebody for a long time.
Yeah, and then at one point, like when we had first moved out here, we got them on an online school that Washington State has. It's, you know, a public online school. And I'm like, okay, great. You know, we'll go that route. But we started noticing that even that had a lot of religion into it. And by the end of the year, we didn't renew to do it the following year because it was driving us nuts with how much we kept coming across.
Yeah, and this is publicly funded.
Yes.
And it's not like overt religion.
No.
But it was
constantly there.
Yeah, it was enough to bug me.
Yeah. And yeah, it really did. I mean, we even talked to them once about it, I thought.
Well, the thing that bugged me was like they used the story of Ruth, right, as literature, but it was so watered down. It wasn't even the story of Ruth anymore.
Yeah,
they took out all the bad stuff from it and just made it this nice, warm, fuzzy story. And it's not a warm, fuzzy story.
right.
Sorry.
And
yeah, there aren't too many of those when you get to the Bible down.
yeah,
really down to it.
Yeah. So I was angry that they did it that way because that was not being truthful to the story. So
yeah, we had homeschooled our twins. We pulled them out in kindergarten, and our oldest one was she in 3rd grade then? Yeah, she was in 3rd grade that year, and we had been homeschooling them ever since up until like I think it was 8th grade for the twins and 9th grade for my oldest. They've been in public schools from those grades on.
Right.
So most of their education was homeschooling, which I have to say, I think if I ever had to do it again, I would do it exactly the same way. Homeschool all the way up until middle school, and then they can do public school because they've created their personality and who they're going to be without peer pressure. They still had plenty of friends, you know, even though they weren't going to the public school, they still had friends in the neighborhood. But they got to be who they were going to be without influencing from school.
Right.
And then so when they went to public school, they were all set. And I constantly am told at how everyone thinks that my children are so well behaved, whether it's in school or like when we were younger homeschooling them, we constantly had like parents coming up to us, mostly grandparents, I think, that would come up to us at a restaurant and say, I just wanted to let you know that your children are so well behaved. And it was like, okay, thank you. It was odd and nice. And so I think if we ever did it again, I would do it exactly the same.
Yeah, probably.
I really would. But as far as secular homeschooling, it can be very challenging. It really can.
Yeah.
Because homeschooling seems to be so geared for religious.
Yeah,
it really does.
It was hard to find any support at all for secular homeschooling.
Yes, and especially where we were.
There are a few groups, secular homeschoolers, on Facebook, so you can find them.
Yeah, see, we weren't doing that back then, though.
Well, we did towards the end.
Well, yeah, but I'm like, for all those years that we were
we were
doing
on our
the
own.
bulk of the homeschool, it was totally on our own. Yeah.
Right.
It was challenging.
It was challenging.
Yeah. But then again, it's like when they're younger, it's kind of just the basics, I guess. So that part can be a little easier. But when you start needing actual school books, trying to find one that didn't have Christian and math, was getting difficult.
Right.
I was actually floored when I saw, how do you get Christianity in math? Math is math.
Yeah.
Where does religion play in math?
I know.
But they did it.
They managed to do it. Word problems were all very Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something else you don't realize the amount of investment in money. And then you mentioned like public money going to very pro-Christian kind of religious groups. And you're just like, why is this happening? They don't need any more.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The tax exemptions are enough. So when did you do, like you've said invocations, when did you do the first one of those?
When was that? 2013?
Sure.
Oak Harbor, Florida. Or wow.
Washington, dear.
Wow, wrong harbor. I've got Florida on the brain. I don't know what's going on.
Washington.
Oak Harbor, Washington. I found out that they were doing solely Christian invocations through a friend I have over there. And he suggested maybe I should apply to do one. It took me a couple months and some finagling, but I finally got on. I want to say, was it 2013 or 2014?
Maybe 13, because you've done quite a few since the first one. So
and so yeah, I did that first one.
Right.
And then I did Marysville, Washington. Then I did Clark County. No, I did the State House in Olympia. So Washington State House, I did the first humanist invocation there.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
That was last year.
Yeah.
And then I did Clark County. So those are the ones I've done.
Yeah. And then he does weddings.
Yeah, I do weddings too. That business is picking up too. So if I don't have enough to do.
We should talk about that. What's it take to become was it a secular celebrant? Is that the official term?
A humanist.
And do you get a collar for that?
If I want one, yeah. Well, I applied through the Humanist Society, which is an adjunct of the American Humanist Association, which I happen to be a member of, and I happen to run a couple of humanist groups out here as well. So, and I saw a need, especially when gay marriage had just been approved in Washington for secular celebrants. So I went through their process. There's a vetting process. They talk to people and they ask you questions and things like that. There's a phone interview. And I made it through all that and came out as celebrant on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did take a course from this guy I know in South Carolina. He gives a course. God, I can't remember the name of it. It's been a while. I'd have to look that one up.
Yeah, we've been doing it for about 2 years now,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, almost 3.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the I do part and I just do the technical paperwork.
Yeah. So again, she completes
I stay
me.
in the background.
She
Another
stays in the
team
background.
effort.
Yeah. Well, I can't write very
Almost
well.
saw a hand there. Watch out. You get all scandalous.
Uh-oh. Now I have to hide it.
No, I have horrible handwriting, and they want to be able to read things.
He has the
on their
handwriting of a
certificates.
doctor.
So she does all the writing.
Yeah. Your handwriting is atrocious.
Yeah. If it's not on the computer, it's not happening.
Yeah, I was at like a business meeting and there was you're supposed to write things down on a post-it note. I'm like, really? Are you sure? Are you sure I can't type that somewhere? My handwriting's worse than like a second grader's at this point. It's just bad. I can't read my own handwriting. That's the thing. Like I look at what I wrote and I go, what is this?
Yeah.
What language is this? So don't do that.
Yeah, I've learned to be a little bit neater on my personal notes so that I can figure out what the hell I was trying to say. So.
Now, was Washington State, was that like one of the last states that actually voted in gay marriage before the Supreme Court decision?
I want to say, well, was it Washington and Colorado were both the first to do it by popular vote. Everywhere else had legislated it or the court ordered, right? When was that? 2013, right? I don't remember my dates on that very well, but it was a while back, a couple years.
Seems like we're competing with Colorado because we also did the marijuana thing.
Well, same year.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, gay people should be stoned.
Oh, we haven't done a marijuana wedding yet.
I don't know, that one we just talked to. Maybe.
Oh, that's questionable.
Yeah.
We have done a Princess Bride wedding, though.
Yes,
that was
we
cool.
did. Yeah. Which is one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
Are you like listed somewhere and people just find you? How does that work out?
So I've got an account on this thing called Thumbtack, which is where people go to find professionals. But I do have a website for that too, which I prefer people to go through, which would be Puget Sound Celebrant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do that, whenever.
Yeah, whenever it comes up.
It's not like a major business or anything.
Yeah, it's just on the side. I do it because I like it, and it provides me a little extra spending cash. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the bring in the major money that podcasting does.
Yeah. Well, we are paid podcasters now. We do actually have Patreons.
Yeah.
Yes, we have 2.
Big.
Yeah.
We're making it big.
We're making big money.
Well, I have 3. I've actually found someone who's fewer than me. But you do mention all your Twitter followers every week, and that's really nice.
Yeah, we try
to your supporters. That's my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get them to put a little more personality into the reading versus just boring.
Maybe
sleepy.
you should start reading it.
Yeah, but I'll screw up the names.
Oh, like I'm so good at names.
You get tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I followed I listed all my subscribers on Google Plus once, and it's hard to not just sound like you're kind of monotone.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Because you know a few of the people, but then we're like, I don't know who these people are, but thanks for listening. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. I like having Twitter followers. Occasionally I'll go into a Twitter rant. I think a few of you have probably seen that once or twice. Those are fun. I'll get into some...
You gotta let it go. I mean, that's why the whole Zachrilege thing started. I had a friend who said that term years ago, and I was like, let me start a Twitter account, and then I can do my atheist whatever, and then it became the name of the show. But that's what it was at first, because I have 2, and you have multiple Facebook accounts. I have the 2 Twitter accounts, and that's the one that for this particularly on the show, of course. But it's like I don't. One of those, I don't care what other people think. Let me just let it out.
Yeah.
You just have to let it out. I mean, you're looking up the Potter stories, and I don't know if it was the last episode or a couple episodes ago where you just had so many great candidates you just couldn't choose.
Oh, yeah. The multiplicity of Potters. I was 35. Yeah.
Memory's better than mine.
Yeah. Well, that's why I write for the show.
Yeah, Greg Abbott. I mean, Texas. I don't know what's happening there, but
oh man, that guy's insane.
Texas is
kind of
crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I love the conservative point of view because they were loving the Supreme Court when the Hobby Lobby decision came out. They thought it was great, and then as soon as the gay marriage turned around, they're like, "Oh, let's change the rules. If the Supreme Court agrees on something that we don't like, then it needs to be 7-2. But if we agree with them, 5-4 is okay. 4-5 even is close.
Yeah.
Round up.
Yeah. Which is why politics right now is so important, because the Supreme Court is about to change. So.
Yeah. How do you get that word out? Because there's this weird thing going on, like with the whole Trump campaign, the Make America Great. The assumption that for some reason, like that liberal, secular, quote unquote, values are running the country, where it seems like the majority of states are being run by very conservative, oddly anti-government people, like my state of Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I do the show. I mean, I don't hit a lot of the big politics because everybody else is already hitting that. So I wanted to hit obscure stuff like local stuff. And
I want to bring it in every once in a while, though.
Yeah, I know. She's trying to get me to do the big names.
Just once in a while.
That's fine.
That's all.
What I tell people is it doesn't matter what your political leanings are. Just research the candidates. Make sure you want to vote for somebody because they agree with you on most topics, not because your party says they do.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is having people actually research.
Yeah.
Not just vote because so-and-so is a woman or because they eat peas. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
To actually look up each candidate, what they stand for, and do a little research.
Yeah, just a little research. You don't have to research like I do.
They'd be there forever.
Yeah, they would. But yeah, and you don't have to be political to do it. Just look it up.
Informed.
Yeah, just go to the candidate's website is what I do, and see what they actually stand for. I don't care what the other person says they stand for, because that's not going to be necessarily true.
Now, what are the current leanings kind of in Washington? I mean, is it as hippie, smoke pot as you think, or do they have kind of the rural areas like every state that are quite right-leaning?
So we have a left side and a right side of the state, which is literally broken up by a set of mountains.
Yes.
So the left side is the one with the ocean, and they are the left-leaning, more progressive.
The Seattle Metro.
Seattle, the I-5 corridor.
Yeah.
And that's the same with like Oregon all the way down. But on the other side of the mountains, where it's dry and dusty,
desert,
is the right-wing, anti-government types.
Yes.
They're always complaining about how the leftists on the other side of the state are taking all the money.
Yeah, it's very 50-50 as far as how weird it's split like that.
Yeah, and it's a very definite split. I have some friends over there, and they hate the politics over there. And
geographically, it's two totally different areas as well. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, that's a rain shadow basin over there, so they don't get a lot of rain. I think that has something to do with it. Not enough rain.
I have enough ocean.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm in Georgia, and I feel like Atlanta itself is kind of Democratic, but then the rest of the state goes the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, almost every state has that. So you'll have your big population centers, and they're almost always more progressive, more liberal than your rural areas. It's like that in every single state.
I'd say even Texas.
Even Texas, like Austin and Houston and Dallas, are very progressive cities. The rest of the state, almost entirely right-wing. So.
Yeah, polar opposites.
I think there might be a few exceptions, but that would be in states that don't really have large cities, like Montana and Wyoming.
Yeah.
So as we're getting toward the end of the hour, how do people support your various causes? Like, how do they find your show? And then, of course, how do they support the Original Motto project?
So the show can be found at secularyakking.com. That's with 2 Ks. And then you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. All of that at Secular Yakking. It's in the name somewhere. And then the Original Motto project is originalmotto.us. And they also have a Facebook and Twitter. The Twitter is original _motto, because some jerk took original motto. Made me mad. It's a dead account with 2 tweets.
Okay.
Since 2009. So that's how you can find us in most occasions. Or at least me.
Most occasions.
Yeah. I have a few other things, but yeah.
They're mostly local.
They're mostly local stuff that I do. Like the humanist groups that I do, or working with stuff around here.
Sounds good. Sounds like you have lots going on. So thank you very much, Robert and Amy, for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm going to be my little sign off here. So if you want to support this show, you can be like Bobby, Hugh, and Teote, men of distinction, who are my Patreons at the moment. I do want to say that I have met Bobby and Hugh before, and I will meet Mr. and Mrs. Teote this weekend. I heard a rumor that Bobby was in town last weekend, in my city no less, but no calls, no texts, no telegrams. Sigh. Other ways to follow the show, you can go to Twitter, Zachrilege, Zachrilege, and I can say that after a beer. Like my Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook. Send all hate mail to zachrilege.cast@gmail.com. Thank you again to Robert and Amy for being on tonight. Want to say to everybody, be safe, and if you need a chat, I'm available. If you're an atheist and feel alone, you are not alone, or reach out. Let's chat and get that human connectiveness that keeps people coming back every Sunday. Stay skeptical, everybody, and good night.